Good afternoon, everybody. It's RT here in the lab, Hero Labs, and today we're going to be doing a market update, giving you the rundown on a gem that you've probably heard of if you've been around on Twitter, but lately just a whole lot of selling off into what I like to call the reload zone. That's an area where I will be loading up for the next couple of months. No guarantees, of course. Following me is probably not the best way to make money. Learning how to do it yourself over time is the winning ticket, and that's why I'm here today and every day to show you guys how to do what I do so you can repeat it yourself. The tactics, the strategies, the concepts, not necessarily, buy this, sell here, because copy trading just doesn't work. And anyone who tells you they know what's coming up, for sure know what's coming up, they're just trying to sell you something. They're probably full of shit. And even though they're right once in a while, predictions in general are a bit of a sucker's game. So without further ado, let's get started. Before we do, please hit the like and the subscribe if you want to like us and subscribe to us. It's up to you, but it's totally free and I appreciate it. Let's get started on the Bitcoin chart. We've had a strong uptrend. As you guys know, we've been tracking it using my fib system with the pump chaser zones, the fib extensions. It's been working like a charm. But generally speaking, when you see a strong uptrend like this and then a smackdown in the market, a big shock is thrown into the trend, there's a lot of uncertainty. You felt it last week. You felt it over the weekend. It's a lot of like, oh shit, all my portfolio looks like it's bleeding out on the side of the street. Is that the top? Did I just buy in at the worst time, or should I have sold, or should I sell now? This is uncertainty. And typically when you have a strong, fairly certain looking trend where everyone's comfortable, they're putting laser eyes on their portfolio, or profiles, and everything's fun and games, typically when that gets smacked down, you get a lot of uncertainty, which expresses itself on the chart through a period of consolidation. We saw that here through January. Nobody really knew what was going on here. There wasn't any clear trend in the market on the middle and low time frames. Suddenly continue the high time frame trend. I expect something like that to happen here. Exactly how that plays out is anyone's guess. What we're seeing here on the 1 hour after the weekend just kind of dripped over here and failed to go below 43,000 really. I mean, it dripped below just for a minute. Really strong bounce yesterday to open up the week. We got Biden bucks coming in, I think sometime later this week. It's going to be $1,800 in everybody's hands. I don't know about all that being particularly bullish, but it can't hurt. Diluting the Dixie, which by the way is trending down. This is an interesting little fractal here. Right through September and August, you saw the Dixie come up looking like it was going to confirm bullish reversal, and suddenly it just got smacked down in what was a bearish retest of back here. Had a very similar situation here coming up, actually got front run, even weaker, as it tried to smack into this bearish retest here. A lot of people betting against the dollar, so much so it didn't even get that retest in. Then it had a little move down, back up, down, back up, and then took out those local highs, which we just did, and are now maybe heading back down. So this all looks eerily similar to the price action we saw in August, September, and October. And if you guys don't know, the Dixie, so what's on this chart is a US dollar index. Really, the simple way to describe it is giving us a sense of the US dollar, how strong it is. And when it's weak, when it's not doing very well, growth assets, stocks, risk-on assets, Bitcoin, crypto tend to do really well, as you've seen through this last year. And this was all the bear market in between, and this was the last Bitcoin bull market. So when this is going down, we're usually green light to, bet on things in crypto going up. So if this breaks down from here, that would be rinse and repeat from back here, and that would be really good news for us. So looking back at today, what do we have? Nothing really bearish today, even though this candle would convince everyone that we're going down to Hades. It's just a pretty standard pullback after what was basically a $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 rally almost off those recent lows. And as you guys know from yesterday's video, which you can find here, this is the pump chaser zone. So if I was trying to chase this thing back up into what might be a short squeeze, a visit to that reload zone up here, this would be an area where I'm thinking about catching along up into that. Typically right this minute, I'm not trading futures, not doing a whole lot of that. I picked up a little bit of spot Bitcoin actually right here around 45. I saw it, oh shit, that weekend was a fade. We're probably going to have a decent week. I picked up a little bit here. I think 20% of my fiat got into that. As I stated before, a little bit more of what I'm looking to buy back in is maybe waiting down here. And if we don't get there, I got some other opportunities I'm looking at. Same kind of thing on the altcoin perp. Really strong, explosive trend. Super big smackdown. it doesn't make sense to me that everyone's suddenly confident enough to just push this higher. More than likely, this is the weekly, more than likely, I would expect some kind of either continued pullback as we drip down into here. You never know. We might even get into a reload zone and retest some of these levels. Those things are all on the table. But what I do expect, no matter what, is some kind of fib pong through here where we just kind of consolidate. That's sort of the bullish case for me on the lower time frames, and that might go right through. That might go right through March, which, you know, again, pretty normal stuff when you have these huge strong trends, big smackdown, and just shake it out. And as people try to jockey for position, right, getting really bearish down here, saying, oh, the bull market's over, getting really bullish up here, saying, oh, we're back on, I should buy my bags back. And in the end, what they do is they end up just getting chopped up, basically giving back a good amount of anything they made through here. So one of the things you want to do when you're trading the chop, when you're spotting, you know, thinking about taking places in the market, positions, understand what phase of a market you're in. Are you in a ranging state? Are you in a trending state? We have been in a trend. In a weekly sense, we are still in an uptrend. But for now, on a lower, you know, daily 4-hour time frame, to me, we are in sort of a range, probably chop zone. And I am trying my best to steel my hands and not just spend a whole bunch of time trying to get it perfect. Because if there's a big trend and it continues, I will have opportunities to use the pump chaser zone, things like that, to try to get back in. If we draw back down and shake everybody out a little more and squeeze the late bulls, I will have an opportunity to buy cheaper. So it's kind of a win-win with patience when you're dealing with a chop zone like this. One example of that can be seen here on XRP. Let's go back right here on the really strong breakout in November on XRP. Strong trend, smackdown. This was a 19% pullback and it shocked it into consolidation for the day. Really strong explosive move, huge smackdown, shocked it into consolidation for a couple of days. Big drop, and in general, all of this ended up just being really tough trading. Every time you thought it was breaking to big new lows, it just squeezed back up. And so this was a tough thing to trade. And then obviously the SEC news came out, their airdrop came out, I forget what it was called, I think Flare or whatever it was. So those kinds of things, you know, keeping an eye, one example here of how a strong trend getting smacked down can lead to periods of consolidation. And that's just kind of the way the market works. And it makes sense if you think about it, right? Certainty, 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 bullishness, certainty. Oh my God, huge drop. I don't know what to do. And again, charts are really just human psychology displayed on the chart in candles. So you can expect things like that to repeat because human behavior hasn't really changed. Our psychology remains the same. That's why we get cycles. That's why TA works, in my opinion. So that's what I'm looking at in the market right now. Not in a huge rush to do anything. If I was, you know, looking at this kind of bullish throwback here after taking it, dripping into it, you know, I'd be thinking long from here if I had to be a betting man, maybe even waiting for a little more pullback. But generally speaking, if I'm going to be shorting this market, I'm waiting until I get a very optimal entry. You know, not high time frame shorting. I still think the bull is on. But if I'm going to be like trying to catch like an intraday scalp short, play this consolidation, this is the area where I'm going to be starting to think about shorts, which ironically enough is the area where most people will be saying, wow, the bull's back, it's 55K, you sold the dip, blah, blah, blah. And if we see exhaustion coming up into that, if we see uncertainty on the charts, if a short setup comes in, that's going to be a really nice opportunity for someone like myself to then ride that move back down while perhaps we end up playing fib pong. And I'll show you real quick. When I talk about fib pong, I'm talking about the reload zone. And that means I need to put on that setting. And let's just say we get all the way up to here. So the market does whatever it does here, trends up, and I want to play this fib pong. Then I'm looking for a short from here back down to that new fib that was just created by that move up down to here. And, you know, I can always just do this, make another one, just say it came back down here. So this is obviously thinking way in advance, but just for those of you like, what's fib pong? It's just something I made up where it's basically a trade setup that plays that consolidation instead of getting super bullish and longing up here and super bearish and shorting down here, which is ridiculous. Starting to wait for those reload zones. Then I'm thinking long from here, and then maybe that gets up here and back here. And then that's where these triangles come from. If you guys ever see like, market loves to just form these triangles. To me, I can illustrate that with these fibs getting generally smaller, smaller, smaller. So that's the bull case, I think, because we're in a strong uptrend. And if we consolidate like that, I would expect continuation. The bear case, the short-term downside case, more bleeding, could be getting into things like the Wyckoff check back here, like this reload zone, sweet spot, stuff like that here. And that's not all that bad either. That would just shake out more people, strengthen the underlying bid, the hands that are holding the market up, and then we can continue on our merry way, which at this point, it's February. It's now March. I expect us early in the year, still, for what it's worth, I think we're going to have a good year. Now, let's talk about this project right here called ID. One of the things, instead of scalping, day trading, doing all this shit, getting chopped up, you know, what am I looking at in the market? Do I want to buy something that's on a pullback after a 600% rally? There's a lot more sellers baked into a chart like that. Right now, we've got ID, Everest ID. It's an app. I'm going to share some links with you guys here. OX Rafi put out a really good thread earlier in February. You guys might have heard of this one. There's a research thread here on Reddit. There's another little post here. I mean, they're FTX official integration. That means, to me, that puts them in the Sam coin basket. Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder of FTX, Alameda Research, all that. I like anything he touches. I'm a big fan of everything he's doing. So if he is already integrating with them, or perhaps going to list them, watch out for those perps. Guys will be hedging their lockups, perhaps. Might get a little downside. But generally speaking, if he's involved, I'm interested. He doesn't integrate with just anyone, and usually the people and the projects that he's working with are very strong. And I foresee a very bright future for just about everything in the Sam basket this year. It's got a lot of my bags, as you guys know. Everest ID, what can I say? It's a pretty strong looking app. They've got everything in the credit, debit, savings, remittance, investments. And just recently, in the last week or so, they got a license that only a couple, I think like 8, have been given out. The only other one for CRO, crypto.com, another payment, it's for regulatory, managing money, transmission of money from Malta. Pretty big stuff. And that hit, that news hit and didn't really do anything to price. I don't think it's been priced in yet. I don't think people are really aware of the impact of it. But when I see a new project come out with lots of hype, tons of people shilling it through here, myself included, picking it up at 45, 73, selling some around $1, and then selling a bunch during my big nuke last Sunday. I sold the rest, or at least 4/5 of my bag, around the low 70s. Yesterday and today, I've been starting to load back up. And this is one I'm very comfy with at a 50 mil market cap. I think this thing could chill here as long as it needs to. Is that going to be a month? Is that going to be a week? But you guys can see where I'm looking, and I'm not really too worried about it when that comes. It'll be once everyone who wants out, the impatient hands, the early investors at 15 cents, etc., get out of this thing. I think it'll be clear sailing. I'm very bullish on ID, and I'm not in a rush to see this thing pump. In fact, I'm just swapping other little bags into it casually over the next few weeks. And we'll see. 50 mil market cap, to me, seems way too low. There's going to be some staking, all that. I will include all the links that I just shared here with you guys. This is a gem pick for me right now, and I'm no less interested in it now at 44 cents than it was at 89, $1.75. There's a lot of shilling going on, and generally speaking, what you get once it gets here and stalls is a lot of people that got shilled into buying this thing. They're going to capitulate here. They're going to dump. They're going to get out of here, chasing faster moving coins. And I'm very comfy parking right around here. So let's keep an eye on Bitcoin here today from this local pump chaser zone. See if we can squeeze up into here over the week. Another coin that I am long on right now, really my only other long, let's see if I can go find it here real quick, is DOT. So I am watching DOT very closely. I think this confirmation of bullish market structure here to the upside looks pretty strong. We got pair chain auctions coming soon. And I can probably show you a better chart. The Bitcoin chart, obviously one we've been watching closely. DOT versus Bitcoin. Since this pump chaser zone flipped all-time high support and has just been slowly trending up. You know what we like to say, gradually and then suddenly. So I'm expecting this thing to suddenly make a move sometime here in the near future. And that's about it today, guys. Thinking about DOT, slowly loading up my ID position, and not rushing to try and call the next big trend on Bitcoin. I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see new highs on Bitcoin, even if, and I do consider this a very strong bull market, there's no reason why we have to make new highs on Bitcoin anytime during March. Consolidation will drive people crazy. It will make people lose money. It will thin the herds and strengthen the position of the holders into stronger hands. That's exactly what I expect to see here over the next few weeks or months. But we'll keep revisiting it as new price action comes in, opinions change, setups come in, blah, blah, blah. So stay tuned to this channel, and I'll keep you updated as best I can as we navigate what I expect to be a fairly choppy week or 2 or 3. Always exciting in crypto. We'll be here to document it. I'll be there on Twitter at randomtask555, at Real Hero Labs. You can catch us in the Telegram, the Trading Pit. The link is in the description. Have a wonderful day, guys, and whatever you do, always play from a position of strength. Take care.